Hello, all you Wookiee warriors out there. How's it going? So today I will be reviewing the Batman and giving you guys my opinions, thoughts of the movie. This video will contain spoilers, so be warned if you guys do not want to hear spoilers, because if you guys have not seen this movie, then I would recommend you guys clicking off the video. But let's get right into let's get into the video. So, I had some. When I first heard about the movie, I had some okay, because there's been so many iterations of the beloved character Batman, and at first I didn't look when I looked at the guy who's doing the Batman from the trailers. I was like, I don't know. But after watching it, I think they made a very good choice when they got Robert Pattinson to do the Batman. Now, they did a very incredible job with Batman. Absolutely fantastic. Probably the best Batman movie I probably have seen in a long time. And I'll tell you guys why. Starting with, I got off topic a little bit, but starting with Batman, Robert Pattinson, one, does a fantastic job. He has a very good tone for Batman because we're not talking like the Adam West Batman. We're talking about the more modern version of Batman, which is he is more of a darker character. And the way they pull it off is just absolutely brilliant. For one, like you start hearing that music, the Batman music, which absolutely is phenomenal. Because to me, it really felt like what Batman music should sound like. If you guys have ever watched the animated series, you don't see the bat signal, you don't see the Batman across the board. It's just the music plays, and and then you see like lightning strike behind him with the music going, and you know that's Batman. So the way they presented it is like they took some of that and they just kind of morphed it into what they wanted, and I really do like that. And the music is just like Batman's coming when you hear that music, and that is absolute high props for that. And then when the Batman does come in, you don't see him. And if you guys I keep on going back to the animated series because I feel like they took a lot of cues from the animated series. As Batman in the animated series, he doesn't. He just like pops down and and starts the criminals start running. He actually has like a cloak around him. He does. No one really can see him except for the eyes at sometimes. And when people see that, they freak out. So the fact that they did something similar to that in this movie was really well done. Like you see him in the subway, he's walking. All you hear is footsteps, and it's already like he's already been doing this for a little while, and all you hear is just his footsteps just coming through the hallway until he comes in, and it's just like, oh my, that was awesome. And I definitely love the part where after he's beaten the crap out of these bad guys, sorry, and the one guy's like, "Who are you?" And after he knocks him out, he says, "I am vengeance," which is a call to the animated series, and I think it was also in the comic books, is that when Batman first started, he didn't call himself Batman. Initially, he called himself Vengeance. But it's more recognizable from the animated series because he does say that, like in the animated series when Scarecrow, and he's hanging from the blimp. And he's his his worst fear is that he's a disappointment to his father, and his father is saying, "You are a disappointment to me. You are a disgrace." He's hanging there. He says, "I am not a disgrace. I am fear. I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman." So that, to me, that was a real call to that, and I really appreciate that in this movie. Um, and then it took me a second to figure out the timeline was, but this has only been a few years since he came back in the timeline. So, how Bruce Wayne is, like when you see Bruce Wayne, I understand like how he is and why he's that way. Um, I do appreciate. I also love the progression of the character of Batman. Very well done. Very well done. Um, moving on. Let's move on to the next character. Zoe Kravitz, who plays Catwoman. I think she did, probably, in my personal opinion, probably the best job of playing Catwoman. She really brought the character to life. Um, even her costume played true homage to the Catwoman look. Um, and when she's playing just as Selena Kyle, Selena Kyle's always kind of like this, has this, how can I put this? Because I'm not trying to compare it to other movie iterations. Um, but more traditional, because we're going to go based on the video game, Selena Kyle's always been kind of, what's the word? Sarcastic. She's very sarcastic in uh, her approach to people. She's very off. She'd rather be alone, kind of a deal. But she cares about one person, and that's actually something I remember from the animated series, is that Selena Kyle had one person she desperately cared about, which gave her character more motivation throughout the movie. Moving on, but before we move on, absolutely perfect choice. Zoe Kravitz did a phenomenal job portraying the character. Um, Jeff Wright played as Commissioner Gordon, and I gotta say, it was a different take than what I was used to, because we're looking at a younger Jeff Gordon. I'm sorry, Lieutenant Gordon. If you remember, like all the iterations of Gordon's always been an older guy. Either he starts off as Commissioner Gordon, except for like Batman Begins, he was still a lieutenant until the second movie, I believe. So I really appreciated it. I really liked the fact that Batman has this relationship already with Commissioner Gordon. They play very well off each other, and it's even established in the movie that it's been a few years that they've been working together. And Jeffrey Wright, I hope I'm pronouncing his last name right, is just, when I look at the movie now, I just like when I think Jeff Gordon, I'm kind of starting to think Jeff Wright, because he does a very good job playing the character Jim Gordon. And I don't know if I mentioned this at the beginning of the video. I'm just kind of going through the characters and breaking it down. Then we're going to be talking more through the movie about the movie. Expertly cast for him. One guy I'm gonna skip this guy till the last, because I just wrote all the names down. Colin Farrell played Penguin, and unless I've looked it up, I would not have known. That's how good he does it. I mean, the last good Penguin, in my opinion, was, because I just finished watching Batman Returns, was Danny DeVito. At least I'm hoping I pronounce this. I'm not good with names, um, but it really brought, like, they really wrote the Penguin in the movie very well, um, and Colin Farrell did a very, very good job playing him. Because you wouldn't even know it was Colin Farrell unless you looked it up. That's how much his voice has changed than what you would normally, like. I've only seen a few movies with Colin Farrell, but I've never heard his voice like that, so I didn't associate it. Um, the Riddler, the Penguin, sorry, the Penguin, um, was more what people came to expect as a Penguin. Um, he's not this creature. He's more like a mob boss. Um, and that's kind of how it's personified. I personally love the scene where, like, Batman has just kicked everyone's butt, and he's about to throw another punch. He's like, "Hey, I'm Oz. How's it going? Let's go talk in my office." you know, I love that line. It's perfect. Um, but yeah, Colin Farrell is a really good Penguin act. Really good. Does Penguin very well. I can't. If they, I think it's already been confirmed that they're going to make a second movie. Um, but take that with a grain of salt. I'd totally be down to seeing him in the Penguin role again. Please forgive me if I pronounce this guy's name wrong. John Toronto. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm not really good with names, but you guys would recognize him from the movie, from Transformers. He plays the FBI agent in the movie. And I think that was a perfect choice for Falcone. He just has that natural voice for it. Um, and he does portray the character extremely well. Like, I'm more used to seeing him in, like, goofier roles. So this was really the first time I really saw him in more of a serious role. And I think he did a really good job. Um, and how he presented, I shouldn't say presented, but more how he um, took the character, and just, it just felt like he was natural with it. I don't know if that's like a true criticism, but this video will probably be a long video. I just have so much to say, and I don't know if I can contain myself and, like, not have it spoiler. We're not even halfway through what I want to talk about. But moving on, Alfred. Now, there's been so many iterations of Alfred. Um, Personally, my favorite Alfred, I forgot it, I didn't write his name down, was the Alfred from Batman, with Michael Keaton. And he was Alfred for a long time, if you think about it. He was in Batman, Batman Returns, Batman and Robin, and Batman Forever. Um, and then when they rebooted the series with Christian Bale, I thought he was a really good not Joker, sorry, a really good Alfred as well. And then it was Batman versus Superman, and then I thought he did a good one too. The one movie that pops into my head that he was in was Dungeons and Dragons. But I thought he did a very good job too. I'm sorry I didn't write their names down. I probably should have. But I think his name was the guy who did the Batman Alfred was Andy Beckett. Barracks. Please forgive me, I'm not good with names. Because you really feel the kinship. I would say not kinship, but how much he loves um, Bruce. Um, Throughout the movie, you can see how much he cares for him. Like even like when Bruce does something, he disapproves of, he takes a moment, pauses, and understands kind of where Bruce is coming from, and he does whatever he can to help him. Um, that's I only went over like the main characters right here. Let's except for one. This is going to be a spoiler. Paul Dan or Dan Pond, I think. Uh, no, Paul Bond or Dond or I can't pronounce it. I'm not good with names. But he did the Riddler, and uh, that's gonna be his performance was good. But Riddler's gonna be a special section into the video because I have a lot to say about the Riddler. But I really like, again, going back to Batman a little bit, how the character when he was Bruce Wayne, we see kind of how torn up Bruce is. It was a different perspective of Bruce Wayne because we see Bruce Wayne as like this carefree playboy, but in this movie, Bruce Wayne is heartbroken. He is angry, and we see that in the movie. So I liked it, like how they got like did the crossover with Bruce and Batman. In the movie, we actually hear like a dialogue of Batman or Bruce Wayne talking, and it's kind of like reminds me of like an LA Noire kind of a detective talking, and I really did like that. It was something different, something we haven't seen in a movie, a Batman movie thus far. Um, I also like how they focus more on the detective aspect of Batman. This movie was, I should say, this was more centered around Batman than it really was Bruce. Like, as we only see like him becoming like Bruce Wayne a few times throughout the movie. I mean, technically Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same thing, but you know what I mean, like, without the bat suit on, I should say that like he's Bruce Wayne. He's not Batman at the time at that moment. There's only like I would say I wouldn't say a few times. I would say it's balanced. Um, um, and the plot of the movie, I really it keeps you going, keeps you guessing like what's really going on. And I'm not gonna give the plot away of the movie, so you guys don't worry about that. But there's a lot that goes on in the film, and I've I said this before. This is a fantastic iteration. I always appreciate um, movie when movie makers, directors go and like try to keep it traditional. Try to pay homage to the fans, and that's what something that really speaks to me is the appreciate how they speak to the fans of Batman. People who grew up with the Batman, who grew up reading the comics or watching the animated series, they really speak to those people. They really pay homage to that. Um, and as the plot unfolds, you learn more, but you see more of the detective side of Batman. It's not like Um, like, hey, this happened. Okay, and they give you a few minutes and move on. No, you really like. At first, I thought he was just there looking around, but the scene where they're trying to solve this crime, this murder. Batman is letting the police. He's being respectful and letting the police. You know, so he's not like, I'm smarter than you. I can do this without you. He's letting the police get their evidence, talk amongst themselves, and he only responds when spoken to. But he's still he's looking at the room. He's being very careful not to disturb the scene. He's also looking looking at everything so he can look at it later. Because he has a nice little cool gadget you see in the movie where he has like this contact lens where it's like a recording. And he uses that to look at all the crime scene. It looks like the crime scene so he can see what's going on. Which now will bring me to my next point. The Riddler. At first, I didn't know we were dealing with the Riddler until I saw the envelope. I'm like, oh, okay, it's the Riddler. Because when I saw, and that to me, that's the biggest gripe I have on the movie is that they didn't seem like they knew what to do with the Riddler. At first, like when I first saw him, I thought it was like maybe Hush, because Hush's victims always had bandages all around their head, their face, so they couldn't see them. And then as we go further, we see the envelope. I see the envelope. Then I'm like, okay, this is Riddler. Okay. And then we see we see the mask, and I'm like, what? What are they doing? Because it was like, it was a different. I should say it was an iteration, but it was just like I didn't know what to think of it, because his mask makes it look like he's well, like he looks like Leatherface, essentially, with Leatherface with glasses, and throughout the movie we don't know I still don't know what to make of him sometimes, because like he's driven, like what he says kind of reminds me of like Anarchy, the villain Anarchy, and I'm like, huh? Because traditionally Riddler was always more set out to prove how smart he was and how dumb people are, and he wanted to elevate. He wanted the people to get smarter. So he created these traps, or these puzzles that, to a lethal extent, that were meant to challenge people. And what infuriated him the most is that he couldn't put one over on Batman. He would always solve it. He would always defeat him. Like there's only a few times in the movie where there was like a puzzle like that, but it was more. I felt like it wasn't something Riddler would come up with. I felt like it was something that Jigsaw would come up with. So I have issues with the Riddler. But I think the person who played the Riddler was perfect. I just take issue with how they went about the Riddler. Does it mean the movie is terrible because of it? No, but the Riddler was kind of one of my biggest criticisms I had about the movie. The only other thing was the Batmobile. At first, I'm like, this ain't the Batmobile. And then I watched it again, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? That's the Batmobile. Because he starts it up. It's like underneath the hood, there's flames from hell, pretty much underneath that hood, and and I'm looking at some of the iterations of the Batmobile, and it fits. It does fit. I mean, it doesn't have the bat signal on the bat logo on it or anything like that. It's not a tank. To me, it felt like more like a modern type of Batmobile. You can even show that he kind of engineered it. Um, where like the closest comparison I can come to that particular Batmobile would be the animated series Batmobile, or because the reason I say that is that it didn't. I was about to say Adam West, but that one still kind of was like a Batmo, like it had a Batmo logo, it had Bat stuff on it. Whereas the animated series, it was more like a retro-looking Batmobile. It didn't have like that Batman logo on it or anything like that. It was just a very retro-looking car. And I do after seeing it for a second time, I like okay, that's the Batmobile. I actually like the Batmobile. Um, but every character in the movie didn't feel like a throwaway in the movie. Didn't feel like oh whatever. Everyone had meaning to it. Everyone had a meaning to the overall story. Um, and to me, um, yeah, I think that's pretty much about all I have to say about the movie. I really appreciate the time. That's something I probably should touch on a little bit more. I really appreciate the timeline they have for the Batman. Is that this is a timeline where Batman's not like he's been there for the last 5 to 10 years fighting crime, like we assume in most of the a lot of the movies or in the TV show, is that this is a Batman that's relatively starting out. He's only been back like 2 years. Because if you guys don't know much about the Batman or Batman himself, he actually left. And that was something they touched on in Batman Begins, is that he actually did leave. He learned the criminal element. He honed his detective skills. He went off and learned martial arts. Um, and that's something else about they fleshed a little bit more of Alfred's background out in the movie. I'm not going to tell you what they fleshed out. You guys would have to watch to see. I mean, because there's already so many spoilers in this review that I don't want to go and spoil any more. My final verdict of this movie is to me a 10 out of 10, hands down. You guys should really go if you guys are Batman fans. I would say go out and watch this. You guys will not be disappointed. Absolutely fantastic iteration of Batman, because we've had like I said before, we had so many iterations of Batman. We had Michael Keaton, which I think he's still pretty brilliant when it comes to Batman, because he knows he doesn't have a deep voice. Like if you go back and watch the Batman and Batman Returns, Batman Returns is like he tried tried getting his voice down a little bit more, but he still doesn't talk very much throughout the movie. He uses more like body language and let the suit speak for it. And then we had Val Kilmer, who wore the bat suit, and I thought he did a pretty good job as playing as Batman. And then we had the worst Batman, which is George Clooney. I mean, he did to me he did such a terrible job. He's now just that movie is a laugh for me. I'm not saying that George Clooney's a terrible actor. He's a phenomenal actor. He's just not a good Batman. Then we have Christian Bale, who the only criticism I'd have is he tried too hard. Is that he would like he was like you guys seen the Batman? He's like, I am Batman, and he would do that so much to the movie. I think he actually heard his voice by doing that. Um, and that was my only thing. But I think he still pulled off a really a good Batman. And then we had um, oh, I can never remember his name. Ben Affleck. There we go. Ben Affleck. I thought he did a phenomenal job. They should have given him a movie before they did Batman versus Superman. But we only got Batman versus Superman, and then hey, it's Batman. But I think he should have had his own standalone movie first. Um, then I don't think there was another Batman still after that, and then there was the Batman, and I totally would love to see a second sequel to this movie. I think they already plan on doing a sequel. I would take anything if I say confirmed, um, or I've seen reports. Everything like that, I take with a grain of salt. I mean, look at Avatar for a second. Avatar was like, oh yeah, we're going to do a sequel, and it's been quite a while since we had for the sequel. And they always been like, oh yeah, it's coming. Like when I first looked at it after the first movie, they said, oh yeah, it will happen in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2022. I don't think it was like 2018, but it was like it's been a while since that movie came out. Since they've done that. But I'd totally be down for a sequel to this movie. Maybe have a little bit some more villains fleshed out in there. Like maybe villains we haven't seen in movies before, like Solomon Grundy. Like we saw Solomon Grundy in the movie, the TV show The Arrow. But I would like to see like a Solomon Grundy that these guys create for the movie for a movie. I would like to see Clayface. Clayface has never been on a big screen ever. Um, Firefly, Azrael. Um, those are just some of the ones that just pop up in my head because we already have Penguin. Maybe a Two Face, but Two Face has already been in movies. But it'd be nice to see what they would do with Two Face for their Two Face. Maybe Hush, or Black Mask. Some of the characters we haven't seen on the big screen. They stick mainly to villains that we know from previous movies or have already been on the big screen. But it'd be nice to see, maybe not like a main villain, but maybe as like a side villain would be nice for some of these characters. Again, I'd give this movie a 10 out of 10. Absolutely fantastic. Probably one of my favorite superhero movies that I have seen in recent times. I hope this review was informative. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm trying to get into movie reviews, so if you guys can do me a favor, if you guys did watch this movie video, because you've already seen the movie, and I would love to see some comments from you guys. I'd like you guys let me know how I'm doing on these reviews, since these are relatively my first movie reviews. If there's something I'm not touching on, or something you guys think that can improve the videos, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Hear from you guys. I almost said goose. Hear from you guys. Also, put down in the comment section below. If you guys seen the movie The Batman, what did you think? What was your favorite part in the movie? Did you enjoy the music? I personally love the music. Like I want to go out and get the soundtrack from the movie right now. I don't have too many movie soundtracks anymore, but I definitely want this one. Did you like the Batmobile? Did you think Robert Peters Pattinson. I think keep on saying Peterson. It's Pattinson. What did you think about his performance as Batman? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, if you guys are new to the channel and you guys want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as that bell notification. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and give the video a like. Those help out the channel greatly. I try to get out content to you guys on a regular basis. Hope everyone is having a Wookiee-tastic day, and I'll see you all on our next adventure. Till next time, see ya.